So a question you might have had at some point is how should you structure your business to yield the most profits? And by this I mean how should you schedule the work and what kind of work should you be taking on to make the most profits in your business? And that's what we're going to get into here in just a second. So I'm going to be sharing how we structured my business, my brother's and I's business, and kind of what's been working for us, and just going to go through that. And then we're going to take you along and how you can do this if you're a solo operator as well, because there is a lot of advantages to a partnership. There's also a lot of disadvantages. We're not getting into all that today. And same thing for solo operators. So this is possible for both sides of the coin. Now I'm going to say it probably is easier, definitely is easier actually, with the partnership. I've done it with both. So yeah, let's just take it in. So here's the problem that we had, right? Well, we do a lot of painting. So we get a lot of house exteriors that we paint every year, and those are our big jobs. So for you, that might be bathroom remodels, kitchen remodels, maybe just whatever you do. You have your big jobs, building decks, something like that, right? But then you also do all these other small jobs, all these odds and ends, hanging pictures, whatever, changing light bulbs, right? So here's the problem that is at hand. So you have the big jobs. You're at the same spot every day. You got uh, usually a good chunk of change, is coming for that month, that week, whatever, right? Um, it fills a schedule, so you have work. That's great. That's the good stuff. The bad stuff is it takes so much time. Just sucks up a lot of time. A lot of times things run over, don't go to plan. You break it down hourly, you usually make a lot less than you normally do doing the small jobs. So the small jobs are great because you got usually high profits. Um, in a short amount of time. You can charge quite a bit for them, and you're not really there that long. You're in and out. You're doing a bunch of new stuff, so that's kind of fun too. It keeps it from getting stale or boring. The problem is, it's really hard to book up, 3 to 5 jobs roughly every single day. I mean, that's a lot of leads you got to have coming in too. And the problem is, you got to do all those estimates, you got to do all that other stuff on the back end. So that just becomes a lot. So what we found is my brother now heads up the big jobs. For us, that's painting, interior, exterior. So he heads up the big jobs. That's his domain. He only will touch those big jobs 90% of the time. And then we'll bring on usually my other brother or another guy as well. And they'll go with him most times. And I'll pull them. I'll do the small jobs. So as they're doing the big jobs, we have that guaranteed money. We got that guaranteed schedule filled. Boom, they're knocking that out. I shoot over here and I do as many small jobs as possible, bring in a lot of profits, right? Bouncing around. And so by the end of the month, you collect all those together, at the end of whatever, and you really made a nice chunk of change. And then we've found that this has just like exploded our business this year. We've almost doubled last year's revenue. And with that, the profits are way up as well. So that's been really great for us. That's kind of how we structure it. Again, they just do the big jobs, I do the small jobs. Um, and you might be saying, well, that's great. Yeah, you have an extra guy that can do that. I get it. I did this actually without even really knowing it on my own before I brought on my brother. So I would still do the full exterior paint myself in the summers, stuff like that. I would do the big jobs, right? I would take these on and I would save Fridays and Saturdays, let's say, just usually like one, at least one, sometimes 2 days a week, usually a weekend day. I would do the big jobs. So I'd have my schedule set. I knew I had work for that month or whatever. I knew I was going to get enough money for that month or whatever to meet all my needs. And then, um, yeah, I just knew what I was doing. But then also, outside of that, I had all these calls coming in for all these small stuff like changing light bulbs, light fixtures, whatever, right? The typical handyman stuff, odd jobs. And it's tough because you don't want to not pick up the jobs, right? Because that's a future customer. Who knows what else they'll have you do in the future. So it's like you're like, it's pulling you in several directions. You're like, I don't know what to do. So I'd leave those 2 days, schedule the small jobs for those people, or I'd go in evenings after the big jobs, stuff like that. So I ended up really, you get kind of the best of both worlds. You get basically the monthly jobs, these big jobs would be enough to cover all you need for the month, and everything else would be gravy. And this is what we found to really is just worked amazing. Like, just get those big jobs solidified if you do this kind of stuff, but do the big jobs, get your income solidified. Everything else is just gravy. You're gonna have tons of profits. You can really just go through, knock them out. And if you're only doing them 1 or 2 days a week, chances are all those calls, emails coming in, whatever, you'll be able to schedule all for those same days, and you'll really have three, four, five, six of them, whatever, to do, and a lot of them are minimum charges. You can easily make $1,000 in a day, and that just is a nice boost to whatever you're doing over here. So that's how we structure our business. That's how it's been running great. And then again, just niching down services helps a lot too. So you get efficient, you know what to charge, all that stuff. It all kind of just blends together, and that's really exploded our business growth this year. And we're looking forward to keep tuning it, fine tuning it, and I'll give you updates as I learn more. But hopefully this helps some of you guys out, and thanks for watching.